So welcome to this mini workshop series where we're going to talk about how I navigated uncertainty as an entrepreneur. And this workshop series is called From Crisis to Expansion. So a little bit about myself is that 6 years ago, I started a company called DaftonMedia, which is a marketing agency. And since then, we've helped our clients generate more than $330 million in revenue. I started this company because I had the opportunity to pitch my business idea to Gallup's chairman and Jim Clifton, and he decided to invest in the company to mentor, to be a mentor and a partner in this journey that has been amazing. But it hasn't always been like that. And recently, I've been through one of the hardest times of my life, I would say. So to give you an idea, or to put you in context of the situation at that moment, I was working for some restaurants in Washington, D.C. before the pandemic for another marketing agency in D.C. And that was my main income source. But when the pandemic hit, they all fired the agency, and therefore the agency fired me. And we didn't have any income whatsoever. At that time, kind of like 1 or 2 years before, my brother, which is in this picture, he got cancer. And so my dad had been unemployed for 3 years, and when my brother had cancer, he spent all the money he had left for his medical intervention. Now he's fully recovered, he's healthy, but that event took a toll on the family and economically. And also during the pandemic, we had a business. My grandmother had a business on a flea market. She used to sell meals and food, Mexican food, for working people. And so all the flea markets closed during the pandemic. And so with all these things in my life, I felt very despair. I felt despair. I felt desperation. I felt sad, depression. I didn't know what to do in order to help my family. For one side, I saw my dad with that was unemployed with no money. We had to sell all our assets in order to pay our bills. And on the other side, my grandmother, she couldn't afford, or she couldn't work because the flea markets were closed. And on the other side, my mom, she's never worked. And on the past, my dad used to take care of my mother, but during that time, they were kind of like taking a time off from the relationship. So everything was very difficult. And I was very stressed because I think I expected too much of myself. I was the youngest. I thought that I should be more, that I could do more during the pandemic. And instead of that, I was unemployed as well. So this is a picture of me delivering my grandmother's food on Rappi, and I did some campaigns to help her. I still remember all those clients that on Uber Eats, also all those clients that helped us out. And so when I recently went with to visit my partner Jim, and he asked me, "Hey, what did you do to get over that situation and now being able to sell more than $100,000 a year through your marketing services, right?" And I didn't know what to answer because I hadn't thought about it. So this talk is about what I did, what I think that actually worked for me in order to get out of that situation. So number one, I love phrases and I love quotes, and they mark my life. So this presentation is about quotes, and I'll explain these quotes. So Number one, in good times, creativity can take you far, but in bad times, discipline is the only way out, right? And so what I did is that in 2018, I had bought this database of companies because I wanted to increase my clients and my revenue and grow the company, but I never actually used the database, right? It was until 2019, 2020 that I had to use it because I had the need to. So I had no money, I had no software, no MailChimp, no nothing. So I took, after being depressed kind of like for 1 week or so, I said, okay, I've sold everything. Life has taken everything I had, but they haven't taken my ability, my entrepreneurship, my enthusiasm, my knowledge, and this database. So every day I would send kind of like, I don't know, 100 to 200 emails, and I would sit and I would say, I won't stop until I send 100 emails today. And so one by one, because I don't have any software then, one by one, I will use, I will send emails until my domain get rejected because of too many spam emails. But from 2,000 emails that I sent, one company replied back. And that one company that asked for my credentials and asked for a presentation, that one company hired me. And that one company is the one that actually I'm in their offices right now because we've had a lot of work today. And that it has been the biggest client for the agency so far. And we've worked with them for 3 years now, right? So for me, discipline is a strong and prepared mind at your life service. And I think discipline is very important. In my personal case, I'm not very good at discipline. Unfortunately, I fight with that. But I know that when you have to choose between discipline and talent, disciplined people will always come through. Because everyone can have ideas on good times, but not everyone can have discipline on the bad times. And there's a video from Kevin Hart that says, when you wake up and you give the best you can and the best you have, and you receive nothing out of that, and then you go to bed and wake up and do the same again and again and again, that's the difficult part, you know? So I think like discipline is a very important part for any entrepreneur and for any bad situation. And what I learned from this experience also is that money is made when you don't need it. And this is a very important lesson, because I think that when you have money, when you have clients, when you have revenue, no one cares about new business. No one cares about, or at least that was my case. And I've seen a lot of friends of businessmen like myself do the same mistake over and over again. When things are good, you don't care to make it better, right? But when things are bad, that's when you're trying to get clients. That moment is when you would want new businesses or more income. Unfortunately, you cannot generate that with no money, with no assets. So for example, in my case right now that we have money, that we are liquid, I have this in my mind, and I'm getting new clients. I'm investing the money in the company because I don't want to have to go through this all over again. Also, there's also another phrase that says, we do not rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to our highest level of preparation. And with this quote, I want to share with you that you should always prepare yourself. And because this is true, when you're under pressure, you think that you are Superman, but actually you're not. And with all this depression, with all this stress, with all this with all this pressure, the only thing that comes out is your preparation. So never stop learning, never stop preparing, never stop being yourself. And there's another phrase that I really like, that is, the secret ingredient to success is luck. What people don't know is that luck benefits the prepared mind. So I've always said that I'm being very lucky for having the parents that I have, for having the opportunities that I have, but also it's not only about luck, it's not only about opportunities, it's about how prepared are you to take that opportunity. Because I was on the need of having new clients, and then I landed this client, but I had all these credentials behind me to support my actions and to support my ideas. What would have happened if I don't have any experience on the market, you know? So I think that times are perfect, but you also need to prepare yourself. And these phrases are kind of like intertwined. So always bet on yourself and your biggest certainty, right? So a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because its trust is not on the branch but on its own wings. And this is a phrase that I love because throughout my life there have been a lot of different times where I had to bet on myself or bet on something else, and the best decision I could have ever made was betting on myself. One example is that when I went to present to Jim my business idea, I came back to Mexico and I went to college, and then they didn't allow me to skip classes in order to start my business. So I had to make a decision whether to stay in school or to drop out and start my business. And I decided to drop out. And at the time, it was a very difficult decision because everyone thought that I was an egocentric person, that I didn't care about my parents or my situation, that I was a privileged kid, that I would regret my decision years later. But looking back, it was the best decision that I could have ever made. So I don't regret that, and I bet on myself rather than on the school. Also, another difficult time is that when I was a kid, I used to be an actor, right? So the first time that I had the opportunity to appear in a soap opera in Argentina, it was my first work. And the work was to go to live to Argentina for 8 months and work as an actor with my mom, and then come back to Mexico. And my mom, she was so afraid because all her friends and her family was telling her that she would lose my dad. She would have to divorce my dad after she came back. And my mom said, although I'm very afraid, I won't take my son out from this opportunity that life presented to him. So I'm going to support him and follow him. And I think that's another great decision that she made in this case. And it was betting on me, you know? And so I think that whenever you have a choice, always choose the decision that benefits you, that supports you, that is about you, right? And this is another phrase this is my phrase actually. Once you've hit bottom, you're not afraid of working hard, but also you're not afraid of risking what you have for something better. So for me, life is about balance. Everything is about balance, you know, black and white, right and wrong. And this phrase is really good because once you've hit bottom, you're not afraid of working hard because you know what it means to have nothing, or at least I know what it means to have nothing. But also, for example, if I have a client that is giving me enough money to survive, and then I have to risk everything I have to generate another account or to start another business, but this business will be better than the thing that I actually have, not because I know what it means to have nothing. I'm afraid of losing it all. You know why? Because I've lost it all. And the only thing that I know after that experience is that you always come back. No matter what, you always come back. So don't be afraid of risking the job that you have right now. You have a lot of options. You don't have anything to lose if you look it through the right lens. And this phrase that I really like. Also, you are the average of the people around you. And this is something that I'm focusing on really hard right now, because when I went through all that crisis, I would say, I would surround myself with people that have businesses, with people that are entrepreneurs, that want to succeed in life. Because most of you, or at least in my case, I don't come from a wealthy background, you know. So 80% of the people around me, they don't want to start a business. They don't care about economics. They don't care about learning how to code. They just want to work for someone, and that's okay for them. But that mentality is not going to help you bring the best self, the best version of yourself. So I think that you need to surround yourself with great people and people that believe in you, you know, because at that time, 80% of the people around me, my mom, my dad, my sister, my friends, some of my friends will tell me, hey, maybe this is the time for you to stop playing the entrepreneur. You should close your company. You should actually, one of my friends offered me to work at his company kind of like for $500 a month or something like that. And at that time, $500 versus nothing was a lot, and I was really thinking about it. But I decided not to listen to them. I decided to bet on myself. I decided to bet on my company, and I said, okay, I'll give myself 1 year, and if after sending emails, after making cold calls, after sending messages, I don't get anything else, then I will leave it. So, but it's also important to surround yourself with great people, people that believe in you and people that support you, you know, but only that expect more from you. There's a story that I always love to tell, that when I was a kid, as I mentioned before, I was an actor, and it was to work in the mornings, and then I would come back to my home, and my dad would study with me until late night, and then I would go to school maybe 2 or 3 days a week, and all the day, anytime I would be in school, I would be doing exams or doing homeworks that I didn't do those days that I skipped classes. And so one day my uncle told my mom, hey, your son is under a lot of pressure, he's doing a lot of things, maybe you should let him rest, he poor little thing. And I remember my mom looking at my uncle and saying, poor little thing, let me ask you a favor, don't ever call my son poor little thing, because my son can do anything he wants, and he can work with this and 10 more things. Poor people, the ones that don't have their parents. Poor people, the ones that don't have the opportunities that my son have. So don't ever say that word again. And to me, that was shocking, because it was a different mindset, you know. And I think that you need that kind of people in your life in order to get the best of you. Then this is another phrase, really, really amazing phrase. Working hard is not the same as working on the right thing. So after working 6 years on the marketing agency and doing a lot of mistakes, not knowing what to do, learning throughout the journey, I've always had this dream of building a unicorn, $100 billion, a $1 billion company. And I felt kind of like, I don't know, depressed, or yeah, I would say depressed that I haven't achieved that through my marketing agency. But when I read this phrase, it made total sense for me, because I've been working hard for the last 6 years, but I haven't been working on the right thing. So I think DaftonMedia is a company that helped me build myself, my skills, that gave me a lot of experience, that made me mature early. And I think that's really something grateful. And I'm grateful also for DaftonMedia for all the revenue generated towards me, my family. Thanks to this company, I've been able to support my family. But right now, I'm saying, okay, this business is not the one that is going to make me rich. This business is the one that is my base, my support, that will allow me to do other investments or to start other companies. And that's the reason why now I'm starting 2 other companies, because I want to do the right thing, to work on the right thing, because I've worked hard for the past 6 years. And I think a lot of people need to differentiate this, you know? Then I really remember when we won the contest and we went to present to Jim Clifton. When we came back to Mexico, Jerry Aranda, Gallup's I think CEO of Latin America, he told us, guys, you don't have to be successful, you just have to try. And that's something that I've kept in mind since I started, because being an entrepreneur means that you're not up, your abilities are not up the expectations of what it needs to build a successful company, you know but that doesn't mean that you cannot try to do it. You could always try to accomplish new things. And so I think that this phrase is really empowering, because it relieves you from the stress of being successful or not losing all you have, and just try. So remember that trying is being successful, are not failing. So if there would be a phrase that I would love for everyone to keep in mind, would be this one: you don't have to be successful, you just have to try, because being an entrepreneur is very difficult,